you could go back and tell yourself something before you bought your property, what would it be?
Probably just believe in yourself more. 'Cause I think I tend to really just question myself sometimes.
It don't seem that way on Instagram. I'll be like,
Yeah,
yo, he just doing everything. Hey guys, welcome to my channel, where the goal here is for us to thrive in all areas, from our mind, body, soul, and bank accounts. Hey everyone, welcome back to another video. I am super excited today. I have a special guest, Brian Robinson. Thank you so much for being here today. So before we get started, I'm going to read your bio. Okay, so Brian Robinson by day is a certified public accountant, licensed in Illinois, currently working as an auditor for one of the big four accounting firms. By night, he's an entrepreneur. His entrepreneur endeavors are split between real estate, rental car investing, and personal finance coaching, where he helps his clients create money management systems, budgeting, saving, and increase their incomes and credit scores. He also is in the midst of launching a podcast called the Double Up Podcast, where he'll discuss topics such as personal finance, real estate, investing, personal development, and professional development. So welcome, Brian.
Thank you.
I love the name of that podcast, Double Up. Reminds me of Nipsey Hussle. I love it.
Yeah, it was definitely Nipsey Hussle inspired.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so thank you for being here. You could have been anywhere in the world. You could have been like fixing your property. You could have been on your bike. You could have been schooling Twitter, but you are here with us today. And yeah, I first heard about you I was listening to the Todd Capital Millionaire podcast, and you were on there talking about like, your money mindset and your transformation, like how you had to kind of like redefine your money mindset.
Yeah, for sure.
So can you like take us through that transformation a little bit? I remember I was reading a blog post you had about how, when you were in college, you didn't always make the right choices with your money. So I guess we'll start there. Yeah.
So where did my money mindset started? So I grew up in a low income family, and my money mindset was kind of a poverty mindset. So even though we lived check to check, my mom always made sure we had nice clothes, we had the nice shoes. So when I got my first job working at Culver's, what did I do? I went out, I bought a whole bunch of Jordans, like literally every paycheck. I probably ended up having about 35 to 40 pairs of shoes. Wow. So just imagine that 35 times about $200 a pair of shoes. You're looking at, what about, way too much.
Way too much, yeah.
Way too much, basically probably about $7,500 down the drain. So I realized when I was in college, after I had probably about $7,000 in credit card debt, $27,000 in student loans, I realized that this wasn't the way to live. Because I had to pay for my certified public accountant exams, and I didn't have any money. So I had to use credit cards. So I'm like, that's when I realized that was really the turning point for me. So from there, after I got my CPA and I started my full-time job, I really worked on myself. So I read probably 24 books, mostly on personal finance and mindset, just to really brainwash myself for success. And in that process as well, I cut out all forms of music, media, and literally only listen to podcasts or audiobooks. Now I'm finally getting back to music, so I'm happy about that because I definitely missed it. But I pretty much went through this whole personal development process where I really just found myself, found my purpose, and in doing so, I was able to, create money management systems and really got very interested in personal finance. So I was able to pay off all my credit card debt, pay off a couple student loans, and almost double my income over the past 2 years. So it's definitely been a journey, but that mindset piece was definitely key in all of it.
That's awesome. So you feel like music played a role then? Because you said you feel like you had to cut out music during this journey. Yeah, the music is interesting. The music definitely, I feel like, has a way of influencing the culture.
For sure. And there's no doubt about that.
But sometimes they're giving us gems here and there.
Yeah, so it really depends on who you're listening to. I definitely wasn't listening to the right people. I was listening to, trap music. In Chicago, we have this thing called drill music as well. So I was listening to a lot of that, and it just was really negative. It was really negative, so I had to let that go for a bit.
Got it. But now that I think once you're in a place where you know the right kind of mindset, you can still listen without it affecting you, right? You could be like, oh, okay, I hear what they're saying, but nah, I'm still going to do this.
Precisely, yeah.
Okay. And now I was on your blog post, you wrote this one in like July 2016. It was talking about like your current situation was that, you know, you were saving half of your income each month to reach your down payment goal of $15,000. And then after hitting that goal, you wanted to find a duplex or a triple house to house stack, or whichever one came first. So how did you even come up with that goal of even wanting to buy like, you know, a multifamily?
So it came from looking at my fraternity brothers. So I'm a member of Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated, and a lot of my chapter brothers, they're investing in real estate. So one of my mentors, he actually has been investing in real estate since he was about 24 and recently quit his job to do it full time. So I really just listened in on their conversations and things of that nature. And then from there, I kind of just educated myself. So I was all on Bigger Pockets, listened to their podcasts. And then Blacker Pockets came around. So I tuned in to all of that content. And then I came across house hacking, where essentially you buy a multifamily building, 2 or 3 units, and you live in one, rent out the other. So it really appealed to me because I was able to live for free and still profit a little bit each month. So it's really just the name of the game, decreasing your expenses and increasing your income. So that's what really drew me to house hacking.
Okay. And you knew you wanted to stay in Chicago?
Yep, for sure. Yeah. I'm not really interested in moving anywhere else. I feel like once I get to the point where I can travel whenever I want, I'll still be in Chicago and I'll just travel whenever.
Okay. And I follow you on Instagram. So when I'm looking at your stories and you just bought this first property, it doesn't even seem like it's your first property. Like you just know what needs to be done. You're like, okay, I'm fixing the walls over here. I mean, obviously using like more larger terms than that, but I'm just like, how does he know the things that need to be fixed? How do you know the contractors? Like all this stuff. I'm like, is this the first home for real? Like, I don't know.
Well, actually, how I learned, I actually worked for free. So like I told you, my mentor, he's been in the game for a while, and he flips houses. So he had a couple of flips going on, and literally after work, I didn't care if I was working 12-hour days. I'm literally going straight to his property afterwards and working for free. So I demoed out a property. I framed out walls, like put up cabinets. I did pretty much everything except electrical, plumbing, things of that nature. So that was really key for me because a lot of times individuals, you know, they want a mentor, but they're not adding any value. So that was my way of kind of adding value, just working for free, putting my time in to help his projects out. So I got to see a couple of rehabs from start to finish, which was great.
Wow, that's awesome. So now when you was even looking for properties, you knew like what to look for.
Yep.
Okay. That's so smart. I never would have thought that. That's definitely a good idea. Now, how did you get over like, you know, that fear of even like spending so much money or like taking out these large amount of loans? You know, everybody wants to be debt free, right? And it's just like, multifamily, that's like so much money. Like, how did you get over that fear?
Oh man, it was a process in itself as well. Because I remember when I first started my job, I tweeted like, I'm gonna be debt free in 2020. And a CPA buddy of mine who actually just became a millionaire, he told me like, don't pay off your loans. Just focus on increasing your income. And I'm like, that doesn't sound right to me, right? But he ended up being right. I just wasn't ready for the information. So what I did was I just really just focused on the increasing your income part of it, where I didn't really care about the amount of debt that I would be taking on because I'm not going to be paying it. My tenants are going to be covering it. So that's what kind of made me a little bit more comfortable. But as far as like putting down the large down payment, like I never put that type of money down at once before. So it was a little scary. It was a little nerve wracking. But you kind of just got to push through. Like I really believe that being fearful never truly goes away. But people who are successful, they just get accustomed to time and time again, just pushing past that fear. And it kind of just becomes like a muscle that continues to grow every time you push past your fears.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, fear definitely serves a place, and just have to feel the fear and do it anyway. Now, was your family and friends like on board with you buying a property?
So my mom and family friends, they definitely were supportive. but they think I work too much. So they always telling me to
Oh.
slow down and take a break.
Enjoy life, right?
Right. So I had to really just drown out the noise as well because they always feel like I'm gonna get burnt out. But I've been juggling a ton of things like my entire life. So this is like normal to me. So when I'm
Yeah.
not juggling a ton of things, it's like I got to do something. Like, what am I doing? I feel stuck.
Yeah.
But yeah, everybody was pretty much supportive.
Oh, okay. No, I
Mm-hmm.
definitely know that feeling of just, it feels good to like, be busy.
Yeah.
So I think on the blog post said your goal was to save $15,000. Do you feel
Mm-hmm.
like, did that end up being enough money for the property that you ended up buying?
Yeah, so I actually found a property before I reached that goal. So I think
Okay.
I had maybe about 12,000 saved. And then my down payment was 6 grand, and then I also had to pay out of pocket for my appraisal and inspection, which came out to about 1,500
Okay.
total. So I was all in at 7,500 for my down payment. So it
Oh,
wasn't.
nice. So you still had some extra left over then.
Yep, which
Oh,
I
perfect.
definitely needed. Yeah, definitely needed those reserves because I definitely
Things
didn't.
happen.
I definitely made some mistakes, some beginner mistakes, but I'm learning from them. But I'm paying for them with money for sure.
Oh, I see. Okay, so speaking of mistakes, like what's like one big mistake that you made that next time going forward, like you won't make the same mistake?
Let's see. So when I was purchasing the property, I was actually in busy season for my job. So I was working 70 to 80-hour weeks. So
Oh,
in
wow.
terms of, hiring, inspectors, contractors, things of that nature, I didn't really get to do my due diligence and vet them like I really wanted to.
Mm-hmm.
So I kind of just got a good referral and kind of ran with it. So I think that's one thing I definitely would have did up front, because with a 203K loan, which is what I use to purchase and renovate the property,
Mm-hmm.
um, the contractor essentially is paying out of pocket for the repairs, and then you reimburse them on the back end through draws throughout the process. So one thing I noticed that contractors, if you don't ask if they're liquid enough to cover these repairs, you can
Mm-hmm.
come to a point in the process where work isn't being done because the contractor doesn't have the money to pay
Oh,
the subcontractors or buy the materials or whatever so have you. So vetting anybody and everybody that I work with is definitely one of the biggest mistakes I probably made. But I'm
okay.
definitely going to shore that up moving forward for sure.
Okay, so when they don't have the money, does that mean that you have to cover that? Like, or
So it's one of two things. You can either front them the money and then get reimbursed from your lender,
okay.
or the work just stops and you kind of pay for it with time until you get the draw out. But if it's not communication, so in my
Mm-hmm.
case, it was a communication thing. We ran out of money. I was in busy season, so I couldn't visit the property for about a week because I was getting home at like 2 a.m. I just needed to
Oh,
get some
wow.
rest. So work stopped for like a week, and I didn't notice it until I actually had the opportunity to go visit.
Mm-hmm.
So then I had to hit him up and say, hey, it looks like nothing has been done. What's going on? And then that's when I found out that he wasn't liquid enough to get that work done.
Yeah, you
But
would think that they would tell you that, like, but it's like
yeah,
you
it's
have to kind
like,
of do things yourself because.
yeah, it's like a simple communication fix. But everyone doesn't communicate, or they're typically juggling multiple jobs.
I
So
see.
that's one thing I would have asked as well. Like, how many jobs are you working on? So I know,
Mm-hmm.
like, is the time being split between my job and other jobs where other jobs might be paying more. So those might be first priority. So you really just got to ask a plethora of questions so you have an understanding of who these individuals are, what's on their plate, and how much they can take on.
Got it. Okay, no, that's definitely good information to know. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
my last question to you is if you could go back and tell yourself something before you bought your property, what would it be?
Um, Probably just believe in yourself more. 'Cause
Hmm.
I think I tend to really just question myself sometimes.
It don't
And
seem that way on Instagram. I'll be like,
yeah, it
yo, he just
doesn't.
knows he's just doing everything.
So I keep myself focused just by reading all the time, listening to podcasts, just so my mind can be in the right place.
Okay.
But I think I was definitely scared. Really just didn't believe in myself and my abilities, because originally I didn't want to do a renovation. I was actually looking for a turnkey property where all the work has been finished. And the
Yeah.
only reason I bought something that needed renovations was because of Chicago's market. So everything was super overpriced. And the
Hmm.
only way I was going to be able to get a good deal as well as gain some equity while doing so was to renovate something. So I'm not paying a premium. So I would just say, yeah, I probably would have purchased the property way sooner if I wasn't looking for turnkey originally. So just believing in myself in that aspect, because I didn't think that I could do a rehab on my first deal, but here I am.
Yeah, here you are. You did it. You're making it happen. I think that's something that I'm afraid of too. I'm like, a rehab. I think it'd be easier if I just started with something that's kind of not too much work, maybe some pain, but that's all I know. So that's awesome that you just stuck through and went through the process. You're making it work. It's almost done. Then you'll have your tenant in there.
Yeah, I can't wait.
Yeah, that's so exciting. So then you're going to live in one of the units and then you're going to rent out the other one.
Yep.
Okay. Oh, that's great. Yeah, I appreciate you being here, sharing your tips, so we talked about getting over your fears, saving up money, house hacking. So, and now you have a podcast coming out where you'll be sharing even more tips on real estate. Okay. So is it just going to be Double Up? Do you have the website name where people can go to, or is it still, you guys are still working on that?
We have Instagram, which you can find us on Instagram at the Double Up Podcast. So we're looking to release on July 1st.
Oh, nice. Coming up.
So yeah, we have 2 episodes recorded already. So we're already ready to go. Just got to get the intro kind of shored up. But yeah, it's definitely going to be, I think it's definitely going to be interesting. We're going to add a lot of value. And I'm definitely interested in just seeing how people can be inspired by us sharing our story. So.
No, I love it. Yeah, share all the stories. We definitely need, more inspiration, more people who are just taking action. And that's another thing, not just getting beyond, the podcast and the books and just pushing past the fear and just going for it.
Yeah.
But thank you again, Brian. So if anybody else wants to get in touch with you outside of the podcast, where can they find you?
So I'm on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook at The Infamous CPA. And then you can check out my website as well at theinfamouscpa.com. But yeah.
Okay. Thank you so much again for being here today, Brian. We really appreciate all the tips. And yeah, that's all we have for you guys today.
Of course. Thank you for having me.
And I don't want you to have to read through all the books and attend all the seminars that I did. So what I did is I packed up the knowledge for you and I created the first 5 action steps that I took to thrive in my finances and life. Click the link below to get exactly what you need to start thriving in your finances and your life.